Are you a mom who needs a break? You've come to the right place. Join me and other moms weekly to hear biblical wisdom and our own journey as mothers. This is Moms on Break. Welcome back to Moms on Break. Today, you're joining me and my friend Marlene discovering nature today. We're calling it Vitamin N, Exploring Nature with Children. And Marlene, I am really looking forward to this session because it's something I need help with, to be real honest. In my family, I can get a little sucked in to my home and my house duties and my nest, my indoor nest. And I really am looking forward to tools to get me out more. And whenever I do, I find it refreshing, rejuvenating, like a reset button on my in my own personal life. So Marlene, thank you for joining us. Share with us.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be on with you today. And yeah, this is an exciting topic. I love nature. And a little bit of background, I worked a number of summers at a summer camp during college as a nature director. And so I was totally in the mode of getting kids excited about nature and getting out and exploring the woods and the animals and the critters and things that are out there. So from early on, even when I was, a young adult, I loved getting kids excited about this. So when I became a mom and I had my own kids and we started thinking about the things that were important to train our kids in, I thought, oh, this is my love. So what can I do? But they're my kids and, I have them all the time. And so I really got excited about nature education and just getting out and exploring nature. And as they've gotten older, that's definitely been a really important thing. As I grew up, and as most of us do, and Stacey, just, pipe in here with your experience maybe too. Growing up, our moms always say, eat your veggies, eat all these wonderful things, get outside and get your vitamin D, because we got to make sure we get all of our vitamins. But as an adult and as a mom now, I'm more aware of another important vitamin that's really important, not just for my kids, but for myself and my husband, and that's vitamin N. And some of you may be wondering, what's vitamin N? Well, in 2005, there was a gentleman who was an author. His name is Richard Louv, and he started writing some books. And a book that he wrote, Last Child in the Woods, really started to open our eyes to what we were missing in society. We were feeding our kids so much education in a classroom, and the digital age was happening, and so many things are happening, and life was getting really busy, that kids were losing that touch with nature. When I was a kid, I spent time in the top of a tree looking at the world around, and our society today, I think we're seeing that a decline in experiences like that with our kids. They're sitting in front of a gaming console, and they get home from school and they sit inside, they're watching TV and playing video games, and they're losing touch with the real world, the world that's outside, that's beautiful, that God has made for us. Anyway,
so true, Marlene.
Coined this term vitamin N. So that's kind of where this spawned off of.
I love it, and we need it, and I agree with you that it's becoming harder to get. And I mean, years ago, that's all they did was spend time in nature and gardening and farming, and it was a necessity. That's just part of their livelihood. But now it's so different. Our society's set up so differently, and it's like we have to intentionally make time to get outdoors. But it is a vitamin. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. And, really he and other people as well, but Mr. Louv really has helped to spawn a movement to encourage people to get back in nature, especially kids. And I think we all need that. So anyway, I think that's kind of what we're going to explore today. And, when we look at society today, we're seeing not just kids, but adults dealing with major psycho-emotional and physical difficulties, and so many of these can be um, remedied or at least helped by spending time out in nature.
Hmm.
So, I
So
mean,
much
I'm sure,
depression nowadays.
yes,
So
absolutely.
sad. Hmm.
We've got, attention deficit disorders are just out the roof. Kids struggling with the spectrum, things like that. Obesity. We've got difficulty with kids just being creative
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
getting bored. And, and
Right.
obviously we know stress and anxiety with the things going on in the world. Stress is a huge thing and anxiety is a huge issue. And then just simple physical things like, myopia. We're looking at close-up screens and books and things like that so much and not
Hmm.
getting out and looking at in the distance and enjoying the beautiful creation that God has put out there for us.
And Marlene, I
So
realized I forgot to share our verse. I want to just do that right now because it's so
perfect.
exciting how the Lord has created this for us to learn and enjoy from. So this is Psalm 19, verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. I love that because it puts the focus on the Creator, God. This and Marlene, you and
Absolutely.
I were talking about
Absolutely.
this a little bit before, but sometimes, well, throughout history, people have started worshiping nature rather than
Mm-hmm.
the God of nature, something in nature, the sun or the,
Right.
is
Yeah.
as silly. But I like how you pointed out, Marlene, that nature points us to God as our creator. It really draws us to Him. And He's the one who brings the healing,
That's
not the
right.
nature itself. But yeah, so I wanted to throw that in there, not as a
Yeah.
afterthought, but important note.
Absolutely. I think our goal as parents, at least this has been, and I think Stacy, you've brought that out too. We what is most important in life for our kids, and certainly
Hmm.
we want them to be able to have a true picture of who God is, and not only the benefits of getting out in nature, like I mentioned, for the whole psychosocial, emotional, physical, spiritual perspective, but just to be able to have a true picture of God when you step out in nature and you get away from the hustle and bustle. There's something amazing that happens, and we start to see object lessons and the things around us. And
Hmm.
I mean, like in our verse today, the heavens declare, there's another verse, and I can't pull it out of my mind right now, but it says, you know, everything around, oh, it's right here after it. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. So when we look around day or night, everything in nature is telling us about God. And there's
Amen.
something that's amazingly healing about that. It
Yeah.
brings peace in our lives, it brings restoration to our souls. And a ton of research has been done on that, not even from a spiritual standpoint, but just from society looking at, what are the benefits
Hmm.
of that. So there's, you go out there, there's so much information out there about the benefits of nature. A lot of it does not come from a Christian standpoint. It's
Hmm.
just people are actually recognizing that there's a quality in nature that gives us something that we can't get anywhere else. And I think that's, what God has placed in his creation for us. So
Amen. Amen.
yeah,
I love that, Marlene. Nature is something you have to experience. You can't, it's one thing to read about science in a textbook,
yeah,
but it's a whole nother thing to go out and experience it and
right.
just see it and do it rather than just read about it. And a lot of times as
Absolutely.
moms, we get so um, into the nitty gritties of homeschool if we're doing that,
Mhm.
or if we're not homeschooling, just what books we need to have in our home to
Right.
help our kids learn and all. But we forget, just let them go experience it. Just go do it. You don't have to have a
Absolutely.
book to do that.
Yes,
Just spend time in it. And
absolutely.
Jesus himself spent so much time in nature while he was on this earth. It was his. You get the idea. His rejuvenating experience, being with people all the time. It was like
Hmm.
something he look forward to just spend time alone in nature with his father.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I
Mm-hmm,
think the scriptures tell us that he would get up very early in the morning and he would
mm-hmm,
go out to a desolate place. I'm
mm-hmm.
thinking he's going out to a beautiful place in nature to just,
Exactly.
commune with his father and to just be restored by what was around him, the singing birds and the rising sun and the quiet lap of the water in the lake, wherever it was that he went. But a lot
That's
of his
right.
time was spent around the Sea of Galilee. So I think
Probably
that there's
partly
something
to,
restorative. Yeah,
yes, partly to de-stress, don't you think?
absolutely.
Because there's a lot
Absolutely.
when with
Yeah,
dealing with people that can bring stresses on you, and I'm sure it was just a
definitely.
unwind to do that. And same for us, for
So,
sure.
Stacey, I have a list of things,
Hmm.
that research, where there's been so much research done on the benefits of nature. I have a few things written down here that I'd love to share. Would this be a good time to do
Absolutely,
that?
please.
So these are just some straight up benefits
Hmm.
found from spending time in nature. So, kids in school, we say, it's so hard for our kids to memorize things, but studies have shown that when kids get out in nature, it improves their memory.
Wow.
And I think that also applies to memorizing.
Mm.
Emotional restoration. A lot of kids who are struggling with abuse and things like that, we find that getting them outside in nature, research is showing that it actually improves their emotional. There's a restorative power and that God has placed in nature to bring happiness and joy back into their lives. Physical healing. We know right off that when somebody's in a hospital room and they
Hmm.
have a view of not a brick wall, but of something
Mm.
nature, their
Hmm.
healing rates are much faster.
Wow.
Concentration, that's huge. I mean, how many of us have kids like, stay on task, stay focused? But getting out
Yes.
in nature helps our kids to be able to concentrate. And obviously, they're getting unplugged when they're outside.
Hmm.
So, away from the computers and the iPads and stuff like that. So, it helps improve their concentration.
Hmm.
Obviously, and it helps encourage activity and exercise. So, improved weight management, when people
Sure.
are struggling with obesity or the effects of that. Vitamin D, we all need vitamin D. And I think there's some stuff coming out, especially with COVID, that most of us are
Mm.
vitamin D deficient.
Right.
Has a huge impact on depression and immune system and things like
This
that.
all goes
Uh,
together. Why as
Absolutely.
we've
It's
come up
just,
away from the
yeah,
outdoor time, we're getting all these
definitely.
problems. Yeah.
Right. So we already talked about stress, decreasing our heart rate, decreasing our stress, improving our immune systems, and then mental health. And
Mm.
from a personal
It's
standpoint,
huge.
I'm hitting my middle age years, I guess you could say, and
Hmm.
hormones change. And, I struggled with some depression, and I have found that when I can get outside and really tap into to environments that are really high in negative ions, that's a whole nother conversation. But by your waterfalls and a thick pine forest up in the mountains, walking through beautiful mountain trails, things like that,
Mm.
depression just quickly vanishes when you're in that kind of
Wow.
environment. And I mean, I almost use it like a tool. When I start to feel down, I'm like, I've got to get outside. I have to go find some water
Wow.
to sit by,
What a beautiful
and
thing,
just
though,
get away.
Marlene, that
So,
you found
um,
something that works for
yeah.
that.
So that's just my own, like, okay, I know the research says it, but for me personally, so how much more does it affect our kids?
Yes.
Um, and so
I agree.
anyway,
For
those are
me,
just
is
some benefits,
that's an
but
incredible list,
yeah,
Marlene, and it probably continues beyond that too.
sure,
But
sure.
for me as well, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I can get more stressed and feel anxious when I stay inside too
Mm-hmm.
long. And when, like I said, when you
Yes.
just go outside, it's like you press the reset button on your
Yeah,
day and
absolutely.
your mental attitude, and it's just beautiful. Well, our time is running out, but we are not done, Marlene. We're looking forward to part two, which is going to be a powerful testimony of the healing power of God through nature next time, ladies. So please come back and join us for part two. Thank you, Marlene. You can can find Moms on Break on Facebook, Instagram, and your favorite podcast service. Subscribe, like, and comment to be a part of all our mom talk. Moms on Break is a production of Pathway to Paradise Ministries.